healthcare has become very important conversation, especially with the realities on ground in Nigeria right now. And that is why we're going to be having a conversation, of course, with a healthcare provider. She is a nurse, a certified nurse. Her name is Chinwe Lawrence Uchenna. She's a registered nurse, a senior staff nurse at Royal Berkshire NHS Foundation Trust UK, of course, former health coordinator, Nigerian Red Cross Society, Anambra State Branch. She pioneered the Maiden Malnutrition Health Program in collaboration with the local government areas, nutrition departments, where RUTF, of course, RUTF is ready to use therapeutic food, was used to reach out to malnourished children within 21 divisions of the Red Cross Society in Anambra State. She was, of course, very active during the COVID-19 outbreak within the state, organizing trainings on psychosocial support, and in collaboration, of course, with the state. She organized first aid trainings within different parastatals in the state in line with the Red Cross guideline. She was, of course, she has been on many platforms talking about healthcare and very, very supportive with that, of course. And she's very passionate about maternal and health, maternal and child health, and did her best to showcase that during her period as an Empower nurse at MCH Amobia. You're very, very welcome. Good morning for joining us on the show this morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right. So let's start this conversation around the malnutrition health program that you did in Anambra. So a lot of times conversations come up and people do not really understand the level at which malnutrition affects people, especially in the indigent parts of the country. Can you throw more light on, what motivated you to drive your, abilities in that area?
Okay, I think as a nurse who was in the community setting, seeing women who come for antenatal, because I believe that malnutrition starts in utero, that's during pregnancy. It was heartbreaking to see that sometimes when babies are delivered, they have low birth weight. Their weights are too. Sometimes you see people saying, oh, it really doesn't matter, it's okay to have a small baby. I understand it's really okay to have a small baby so that you can actually push the baby out. But then, when a child is not getting sufficient nutrition in utero, and that child is born, there could be failure to thrive. So, for me, that was a drive. Seeing these low birth weight babies and assessing their mothers and knowing that these women were lacking sufficient nutrition. So I think that was the major drive for me to start the program. The Red Cross gave me a platform for that program because as at the time, I was just an Empower nurse. I didn't have much, influence within the area where I worked. But being in the Red Cross, I had the opportunity to take this to my branch secretary, tell him my findings, and we kickstarted it from there. So,
all right.
Malnutrition. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Go on.
For me, it's important that people understand that malnutrition is not only when you don't take in adequate nutrients. It could be imbalance of essential nutrients or the inability of the body to utilize the nutrients that you have already ingested. So there are a lot of things surrounding malnutrition that people need to know. Okay, for example, according to the WHO, malnutrition consists of both undernutrition, overweight, and obesity, as well as diet-related non-communicable diseases. But for the sake of malnutrition, we're going to center on undernutrition, which I think from studies manifests in 4 broad forms. Now, it could present as wasting, stunting, underweight, or micronutrient deficiencies. Like I said before, wasting could be low weight for height, it oftentimes indicates that the child has had recent or severe weight loss. This can actually persist for a very long time. And this usually happens when a child does not get adequate quality and quantity of food, or that child has had prolonged illnesses. And believe me, wasting in children is associated with greater risk of death, if not. Having heard this, you would understand the passion if you have children or if you work with children and you see a child who has max muscle wastage. If nothing is done, that child might not thrive. And at the end of the day, we're losing those who are supposed to pioneer our society, those we actually call the leaders of tomorrow.
All right.
Let me butt in here,
Okay.
Madam Chinwe. You said earlier on that when you were on the platform of Empower, you never had much influence. And upon getting into much bigger capacity, which is the Red Cross, my question to you would be, what were some of the challenges you experienced while on the Red Cross? What were some of the eye-opening experience you had, and how were you able to deal with them?
Well, for me, the first challenge is community engagement, because one, you have to enter the community, engage, you have to do your advocacies, because you're going to be talking to people who may not understand the message you're bringing. So getting the community, the village heads engaged into the project you have is the biggest challenge. For example, I remember the first time I went into one of the communities to speak to them. I had a funny name, they laughed. You understand? Oh, what is she coming to say? Is this something we've not heard before? But then, over time, consistency, going again and again, trying to re-strategize, coming down to their level, using a language they understand, made it easier for me. And then engaging members of the community, bringing them into the Red Cross as volunteers really helped, because the truth is, when you're going for a project and you're engaging those who the communities know, for example, the youth leaders, they become members of the Red Cross, key persons in the community. You know, there are youth that other youths listen to, even if they don't hold positions. When you engage such people, and these people see them, they listen to you.
All right.
So it was
I understand you tried leveraging on those certain persons, right?
Yep.
Okay, now my question to you would be, aside from the fact that the name somehow posed a challenge to them, especially when you were trying to reach out to those communities, what were certain resistance that you got or opposition that you got because you were relatively new in that community?
I didn't speak their language.
Language was
You
a barrier.
understand?
Yeah.
Yes, language was a barrier because we could come from the same, let's say we could come from the same eastern state, but you know, when you're a foreigner in an eastern state and you're going into the interior communities, we've got different dialects. I didn't speak their dialect. They didn't understand me. In their own language, I was like a foreigner. So I needed someone who understood the elderly women, who understood the pregnant mothers who could not speak the basic Igbo language.